1998. What a year to be alive. The Backstreet Boys and NSYNC are fighting for the #1 spot on MTV's Total Request Live. But our guest here today was fighting for that 125-pound state championship. Sir, if you would, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Dean Williams Jr., Seneca High School, graduated 1998.
And this is video number 148 in our series, and we're here today in Louisville. I think you made a pretty substantial trip to get here.
13 hours.
13 hours for the, not necessarily just for the video, it's Christmas time, but you know, you are by far a very, very, very well remembered, not just in the Seneca community, but just Louisville wrestling in general, across the state, people that were in your era, I guess, if you will, that 98 to 95, 94 era. A lot of people still remember the name and remember that 1998 match that you had. Of course, we have the video. We're going to go over it. But before we go over your bracket and your family lineage in the Seneca wrestling history, for those that don't know the answer, what gets a young Dean Williams Jr. into wrestling?
My wrestling coach's son's name was Scott Anderson. Coach Anderson was my coach. And we were at freshman orientation, and I remember him standing up and just yelling out, you know, if you want to beat somebody, wrestle. And I was like, oh, sounds like fun. I was always rowdy and into roughhousing, so
right.
I was like, something cool to do.
And now, I mean, was there anybody in your family that had a wrestling history? I mean, did you just kind of happen, you know, this new
I didn't know.
Right.
When I started wrestling, when I tried out for the team, I had no idea. I went home and told my mom. I was like, yeah, Mom, I'm going to try out for wrestling. I think I'm going to wrestle. She's like, I think your dad wrestled. I was like, oh, okay. So I called my dad. I was like, hey, Pop, sign up for the wrestling team. He's like, oh, okay. Well, it's a really hard sport. I was like, well, Mom said you wrestle. He's like, yeah. And I, like anybody else, were you any good? He's like, I was a 2-time state champ. And I was like, He's like, well, your Uncle Dwight wrestled. I was like, he was a state champ. And I was like, oh, okay. Didn't know. And of course, I'm young in the sport, so I didn't know what that really meant at the time. Looking back, I was like, man, if I could have just started 1 year sooner.
Right.
Like 8th grade would have been great. So that's how I found out.
So growing up, though, you didn't know that your dad was a 2-timer or your
idea.
uncle?
No clue.
Wow. Now that's breaking news to me. I did not know that.
No idea.
And, of course, your dad, 1965 and 1966, 145-pound state champion. And your uncle, Dwight Williams, 1969, 154-pound state champion, both from Seneca.
Yep. And
your uncle's video, I have the 1969 year. It's already on the channel.
Yeah,
and I didn't put the pieces of the puzzle together until I guess I posted it. People started tagging you, and I was like, oh well, that makes perfect sense. You know, okay, great. So I'm sure you probably watched your uncle.
Yeah. I watched it a few times.
Watched your uncle wrestle. Now, something that I'm going to start doing is going over school's state championship lineage. So real quick, of course, your dad was the first state champion for Seneca High School, and the coach at Seneca started the
Coach Orville Williams.
That's Orville Williams, and that's
OW.
The Most Outstanding Wrestler award is actually named after him. The Orville Williams Most Outstanding Wrestler. And 1965 and 1966, 145 pounds.
Undefeated.
Undefeated both years. 1968 heavyweight, Ronald Jackson. 1969, your uncle, Dwight Williams, 154 pounds. 1969, 120 pounds, Tommy Nelson. 1973, Lynn Jacobson, 132 pounds. 1998, 125 pounds you. 2001, some guy named Neil Crawford at 130 pounds. We're still protesting the 2002 189 Ben Vessels. We're not sure if that counts or not. And then 2007, 103 pounds, Elliot Martin. So 10 state champions. 40% are Williams.
Yeah. Good times.
So you guys, hold the majority ownership on the state championships for Seneca High School, which is kind of I with more than like say eight or above. I don't know if there's a school in the entire state that has one family responsible for 40% of maybe like cousins, maybe extended family. We know that the Union County has a lot of Irvins state champions. Sheldon Clark has a lot of steps. Enough steps to make a staircase. But I don't know like a father son uncle combination that has 40% of the school state championships, which is kind of cool. I mean, it really is.
If I hadn't choked my junior year, it might have been like 45%.
Yeah, well, actually, we're going to talk about that. Now, in 1996, sophomore, 119 pounds, I've got you 5th place.
Yeah.
Drop a tough match to Jason Talbot, who, by the way,
monster,
was the 2-time state champion wrestler for Oldham County. Oh, by the way, Jason Talbot wrestled for Stanford, and he got his, now listen to this, he's a PhD and MD. So, don't feel bad for poor old Jason. I think he done all right in life.
Furry woodland creature.
Yeah. Then 1997, 125 pounds, 3rd place. You drop a tough 6-4 decision to Dylan Bell of Covington Scott. And Dylan goes on runner-up. But, we've done that video review with Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn, Woodford County, 3-time state champion, 125 pounds. Very, very tough wrestler.
Yeah.
So far you've ended up on the odd number side of the bracket, which means you're at least winning your
last match,
your consolation round match, which is good. But 1998 is your year. You're a senior. Like I said earlier, you got Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, NSYNC. You got all these boy bands battling, and you're like, I'm battling for that state championship. And it says your record on the bracket and the video, I believe, 55-1.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, tell us about the one.
So my senior year, we went to Super Duels, which was some Kentucky teams and some Indiana teams. And I had the flu. I didn't wrestle the first day.
Right.
I cut weight to make that. I cut, I don't want to say it, but I cut a stupid amount of weight.
Right.
And I made weight, but I didn't wrestle the first day.
Okay.
We went to Indiana the second day. Well, I wrestled up a weight class against Jeffersonville. I don't remember the kid's name, but he was he's ranked 3rd in Indiana. And my coach bumped me up, said, "Hey, let's see what you got." And I was always down. Wrestled him, and I ended up beating him. Well, we kind of got buzzsawed after that, and we wrestled New Albany.
Okay.
Next, and I was the second match, I think. I was actually in the corner helping my coach, and I fell asleep. And he's like, "Hey, you got to wrestle." They lost the match 1-0 to Joe Coffey. I still remember that guy's name to this day. I'll probably never forget it. I lost by 1 point. He got an escape.
Uh-oh.
And I was so sapped, I couldn't even be mad about it or feel bad about it. I was just drained.
Right.
I wrestled him the next week, and I was healthy. I beat him 10-0.
Oh.
So I feel a lot better about it, but that's the one.
Feel vindicated
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit,
yeah.
right?
But I had that one on my record, so.
And I know this is a wrestling review, but growing up in Kentucky, you kind of having an affection for basketball, Kentucky basketball, U of O basketball, depends what part of the state you're in. Just because we don't have a pro team, there's you whoever part of. I'm from the hills in Kentucky, so I grew up a Wildcat. But you hear your coach Patino's, you hear your coach Cal's, you hear Coach K, all these legendary coaches talk about how sometimes it is better for their team to have a loss coming into the NCAA tournament. Keeps your kids hungry. Hey, you're not Superman. You're not invincible. You can get beat. If you don't come and bring it every daggone game, we're gonna be going on home early. And I would have to imagine you. I'm not saying that was a wake up, but you had to realize, hey, I can get beat.
That wake up came junior year, and we had a preseason match. Chris and some other guys from Woodford, we all went down to Tennessee to what was called FCI back then. I don't know if they still do it anymore, but wrestled at UTC, and I lost to Whit Durden from Georgia. He ended up going to Oklahoma. So now they count it as a record in high school, but back then it wasn't during the season, so they didn't count it. But that wake up call loss came my junior year. Senior year, I had there wasn't a. You could have told me 5 + 5 was 11. I believe that more than I was going to lose. Not win a state championship that year.
Well, let's talk about it. Now, 98, your first realm, we're going to say, and we don't mean to mispronounce your name, but we're going to say it's Emil Schneck from McCreary Central. You win that by a fall in 43 seconds. So get in, get off the mat, get it done, right?
I was chasing Ian Horn that year.
Oh, yeah, and we've done Ian's videos, and Ian, of course, goes on to win. Hate to spoil it, but Ian wins most outstanding. But Ian was tough. Ian was coming in 3-timer, and Ian was, he was a good rep. You had to really put up a tough
was going to be.
In the quarterfinals, you're wrestling Nathan Schmidt from Campbell County. You win a 5-2 decision there. In the semis, you're wrestling David Diaz from Hopkinsville. You win an 8-3 decision, and David comes in 3rd place that year. So David's a pretty good wrestler.
I'm pretty sure at the time, I think he was ranked number 2 in the state, which I thought was weird that we were both on the same side of the bracket. But
yeah. Then in the finals, you're wrestling Brandon Huth from Ryle, and we're not going to tell you. We have the video, of course, and we're going to watch it. But before we go back to the dungeon, before we watch the video and all that kind of stuff, you have some amazing, now we're going to get it out. We're going to, get everything out. But you have some amazing, I'm going to say artifacts, but some amazing memorabilia from your time. And then we have something that we have not got to show yet on the channel. And we're going to let your dad tell us all about it. So we're going to get all that stuff set. We'll see you guys there. Now, we've added another Williams to the scene here. And this is, sir, if you would.
Dean Williams Sr.
So we've got the original and the remix with us today.
2.0.
2.0, 1.0, 2.0. Now, of course, we said earlier, 1965 and 1966 state champion for Seneca.
Yes.
And you have some medals from your state championship wins.
Yes.
You got your 2 original state championship. So let's see those things. This is absolute. I have never seen this, and you actually got 3rd in 64, and you've got all 3 of those. So we're going to show all those, and of course, you guys are going to see photos of those. I mean, look how. I mean, this is incredible.
Tiny. And they are.
And
They are.
And of course, you've kept those all these years.
Yes.
So when you get the phone call that your son's starting to wrestle, what are you thinking?
I was thinking, oh man, does he know what he's getting into?
Right.
And he said to me, and I asked him, I said, do you know what you're getting? He said, well, Pop, it can't be that bad. And I said, well, you'll see. I said, but if you got the heart for it, I said, I think you're going to do well. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, Pop, I know I can do this.
Right.
And we can go any further on that.
Well, that's now when you watched him wrestle, were you more nervous watching him than you ever was?
Yes.
That's I think that's the dad.
Very much so. Very much. I'm trying to put myself in his place.
Right.
And to will him to do what I thought he needed to do.
Right.
But his first couple of years, he was really out of weight class. But he was talented enough that his coach said, I can't just not let him wrestle. So he's going to get experience, even though he's out of weight class and whatever, which is, I think, was the biggest thing for me. It helped him.
Mm-hmm. I was way out of weight class as a freshman.
Yeah, he was about 3 weight classes out.
Yeah.
So, I referee, I think everybody knows that. It's my 18th year getting to officiate, 16th year doing varsity, or I guess high school, if you will. And there's always the running joke about wrestling dads knowing best. You see the videos, you see the dads on the side of the mat.
Yes.
And as long as, for the most part, as long as dads are not using profanity, as long as they're not, throwing, I'm just saying for me.
You're right.
As long as they're not, profanity, as long as they're not, being completely just.
Buttholes.
Well, yeah.
Just being honest.
Yeah, YouTube, don't censor me on that one. But,
obnoxious.
No, I'm kidding.
He's kidding.
as long as they're within a certain scope,
Yeah.
I won't say, hey, let's calm it down.
Yeah.
So were you one of the dads that were like set up in the stands, kind of quiet, or was you on the side of the mat?
I feel.
Come on, Ref, he stopped.
No, I didn't. I never did that. I did go down to the side of the match and I would holler at him.
Right.
You know what you're capable of doing, do it.
Right. And that's something that I've seen is you have your dads that there's three main principles when it's the referee gets a lot of the dad criticism, the head coach, or their kid.
Yeah,
whether it's now girls wrestling's exploded now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So, but
That's
you
awesome.
you got the referee getting the dad treatment, the head coach getting the dad treatment, or the kid getting the dad treatment. And if they're on the coach, they're on their kid, and not just like I said, not just yelling, not just being a complete butthole to use your word. I'll kind of, if they get on to me, hey, that's enough. But if I know that they're yelling at their kid, knowing they can do better,
Yeah.
knowing that you were better, get up. I'll let it go.
Yeah.
And
I can understand that.
so when let's say we're doing the King of the Bluegrass tournament, and I'm refereeing, and there's this guy from Seneca, 1998, named Dean Williams Jr. refereeing or wrestling. I'm out there on the mat, and he's lollygagging. He's stalling on the bottom. What are we gonna say to him?
I'll tell him, get off your butt, do something.
Well, see, that's good that you've been there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have.
you know what
I
it
have.
takes. You know what it takes to get on top of that podium twice. Now, did you guys have a podium in '65 and '66?
No. It's lined up across the mat.
I feel you. I
got to interject something. My senior year, he would have been coaching his wrestler against me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the competition would have been different. But junior year, it was always from him, just some encouragement and
I got you.
positivity.
Now you've got some stuff there.
Yeah. So
this is the actual singlet that you wore in your state tournament run,
Yep, that's it.
and I think this is the exact same type that Ben wore,
Ben and Neil.
and
Neil Crawford.
And probably Elliot.
the real deal Neil Crawford wore, and it's in great shape.
Yeah,
That's a
it
great
is.
color, great color scheme. Seneca
gold.
has that red and gold, and you also have something else.
I got my varsity jacket.
You got your Letterman jacket. Of course, you guys are going to see photos of all this. It's got your pins and your Letterman bars and your name, and it's got now they're the Red Hawks, right?
Yeah,
Sorry,
they
no.
were red. Yeah, red.
This
Hawk.
year is the year that we voted in the new mascot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was it before then?
It was
Redskins.
the Redskins.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Seneca Redskins.
So you guys were ahead of Washington
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
the Washington football
Yeah,
team
yeah,
and the
yeah,
Washington
yeah,
Commanders.
yeah,
You was
yeah,
like, hey,
yeah.
we got to change this, right?
Yeah.
So the medals that you have, those are unbelievable, and the singlet and it looks like you just come home from school. That's how good a condition that jacket's in. Same thing with this could be wore today.
100%.
Yeah.
Probably couldn't fit it now, but I could.
That's what I was going to be next thing. We're going to start having these guys put these on and see how. See if they.
Now, hey, for the record though, it still
No,
fit.
I'm
I
kidding.
just looked like I had a little extra eat. That's all.
I'm kidding. So, we are going to get our computer set up. We're going to go back to the dungeon at Frankfurt, 1998.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys there. All right, you guys are seeing what we're seeing. We're not at the dungeon yet. I wanted to add this part in. Now, like I said, 1998, technology was kind of becoming more readily available, and I wanted to add this intro in just because of how period era awesome this is. So I think I made one of these in you're a senior, I'm in middle school. I think I made something similar to this in my introduction to technology class, and I was like, I've got to add this in. So we're going to let this intro play. Now we have the face-off, the match, and the medal ceremony. So let's go. Let's do it. Look at this.
1998 technology.
I love it. Boys Wrestling Finals, Farnham Dungeon.
Frankfurt, Kentucky.
And of course, this building no longer exists. It got
Right,
imploded.
Right.
Before the dungeon, it was at Atherton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here we go.
At Orange Mat.
I remember that.
Here you come trotting out.
My boots.
Yep.
I lost that champion shirt. I have no idea where it's at.
Oh, really? Here we go. So what's your, I guess, go-to bread and butter takedown right off the whistle? What are we looking to do?
Coach Anderson has learned everything. So I had a good double.
Mm-hmm.
I had a good high crotch. I had a good sweep.
Right.
My favorite back then probably was my single leg, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I would say I agree with you.
There you go. Shot in the sprawl. Back to the center. You got like an under. There you go. Trying for like a dunk. Fireman. You go lift. Come on. There it is. 2.
So going to this match, I just remember trying to chase Ian because this was the only tournament I never got OW in.
Right.
And the whole time I'm just trying to chase Ian for points. I knew he was going to be a shoe-in for OW that year.
All right, we're out of bounds. So you not right out of the gate, but you got a takedown fairly easy, I would have to say.
You couldn't tell, like I said, you going into that year, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be a state champ.
Right.
There's so many, like Talbot, Grady, Sean Smith down in Hoptown.
We don't count Sean.
No,
I'm kidding, Sean. I'm kidding.
But like Tom Seibel, like there's a bunch of guys
Yeah.
that were great in the lower weights. Mm-hmm. And then obviously like $10 from Louisville, and I knew I was going to win state that year. So
Yeah.
I still have those shoes, by the way.
Do you really?
Yeah, I still wear them.
Well, I used to tell him he was going to win it. He said, well, I think I am, Pop. I think I am. And I remember all of that.
And I wrestled him my
somewhere
freshman
along
year,
here.
actually. We went up to Boone County,
Uh-huh.
and I wrestled him our freshman year. So I want to say we're the same age.
And, you know, I'm not sure if it was just the period era or what, but the video of your uncle that we have on the channel from Seneca, he's wearing red and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, was that your colors back when you
No,
were?
it's always been red and gold, but that was just what they had was the uniforms they bought.
Right. I was actually going to ask that. And I'm glad I thought of it.
Like I said, the whole match, all I remember was looking for back points.
Right.
See, we had the full leg. Our singlets covered the whole leg.
Mm-hmm. I bet those were good and warm too, wasn't they?
Yeah, they were good and warm. Yeah.
And probably not good material either.
Nope, they weren't.
I'm breaking out Navy rides and everything.
I was gonna say you got a leg in there. All right, so end of the period,
So frustrated. Like I said, the whole match, all I could think about was Ian.
and you defer.
Yeah.
He takes down.
Coach Anderson trained me. I knew back then he wouldn't let me do the cut game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I remember this well, man.
I don't.
I do.
Really?
I do. I remember it well. I was standing down by the sideline, so I was close to the mat.
Now you got like you're trying for like a bundle or a butcher
Yep.
or whatever you call it. Depends on what part of the world
Butcher
you're in.
bundle, barbed
Yeah.
wire.
Barbed wire,
Yeah.
yeah, that's another one. I think it's
I knew it as a butcher.
yeah. Trying for like a crate, like
Yep.
a near side
Yep,
cradle
yep,
right there.
Yep, yep.
All I'm thinking about is trying to get back. So like I said, I tried to chase Ian the whole match.
Mm-hmm. I watched this last night, getting it cut and everything. And I was like, man, you ride him on top really well.
It helped me out in college. I did decent.
Mm-hmm.
I said this time I'm getting frustrated because I'm like, man, I'm not going to get OW now.
Yeah.
Saying out loud, I sound kind of like a jerk, but I just knew I wasn't going to lose.
He's trying like to, set his hips away.
Yep.
You've got good hand control there on that left side.
I should have pulled the shoulder.
And you're,
Yep.
and you're not stalling on top. I mean,
Oh no, I'd have got in trouble.
You're pressing.
Between him and my coach,
Yeah.
it would have ate me alive stalling. Like
You do something. Always do something. Do something.
Always be moving.
Yeah, you initiate it all.
There it is. Throw that half in. Nope.
I didn't commit enough.
He laid flat out on it.
So, you're under the lights. Do you remember hearing anybody, hearing Dad, hearing Coach? Or...
In my matches, there's two voices, his and my coach's.
Right.
If my mom had been able to come, it'd have been three.
Yeah, you've been right.
But she had cancer, and
oh my goodness.
I didn't want her to be around people and get sick.
Right.
And now I kind of regret that. I wish she had gotten to see me.
Yeah.
When I was good.
Well, I used to tell her all the time, you need to go see him. You'd be surprised how good he is.
And you take down,
Yeah.
and I believe you're up 2-0.
Probably so.
Yeah, I think so.
Because there was no point scored in that second period.
Right.
And you got the takedown.
He was up 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah.
He locked hands right there, and you get a reversal. So that puts you up
4-0.
5-0.
Yes, 5.
Yeah, 5. Yeah. You're right.
And now I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's my senior year, so I can't get in trouble if I cut him. Is what happens on my mind.
Yep.
It's like he can get me in practice. So.
Yep. Hey, I'm done, Coach. I'm retired.
I realized I wasn't going to turn him. He was just going to be too defensive for me to
Right.
turn. So one time I'm thinking as well, I either got to take this guy or I can catch him maybe for some backs on a takedown.
And that's something, a senior, the experience, all these matches you've had, is trying not to force a turn and get caught in something. Just, hey, this is the game plan now. So there you go. So 5-1, you lay him up and they get your takedown at 7-1.
If I just committed, punch it.
He wouldn't, yeah. I give him credit for that. He fought that one off.
Yeah. So 7-2.
What am I doing with my arms there? Too long. Self.
Got that leg, keep him in bounds. Nope.
He hopped off. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember that.
So we're neutral.
Neutral. Last takedown coming up.
He couldn't stop it.
Chuck's still yelling. I don't know if he's yelling, but he's yelling something.
Yelling something at you, huh? All right. Nope. We're out of bounds, and he gets him for stalling.
Now I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to take him. I know time is short.
Yep. There it is. Outside sweep. No, 2. 9-2.
Yeah. You let my kid watch this match.
And that's the final, man. 9-2.
Seneca. I was Chuck's first state champion, Seneca, I think.
Was you?
Yep.
Yeah, because I think there's and here's the medal ceremony.
Yep.
It should have been me and Dave in that match.
Dave Diaz.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why the camera was pointing that direction, but it was. But it actually went from 1973 to 1998 before Seneca had a state champion. So I guess you had to be.
I think he had a finalist in there.
May have.
Colin Thompson? Something. I can't remember his name, but I think Chuck had a finalist. And he had Trevor Hale, who 2 years before was a
Trevor Hale.
finalist.
Yeah.
Right. So watching it back, did it play out the way you remembered it?
Yeah. I just remember being, like I said, I was chasing Ian and being frustrated the whole time.
Yeah, that's.
What I remember the most about that was the pure fact that I could see the frustration in his face, and I was trying to get mad enough to just kind of maul him. He wouldn't do it.
Well, I mean, looking back on it, because you sat there, punch that half right there. Were you? I'm not saying wrestling cautious, but like, did you know this is my last shot to do it? I know what I'm good at. Let's not, try to, do too much, play hero ball or.
Well, watching it from the beginning now, like I said, I didn't remember much. I wrestled real cautious apparently the first period.
Right.
I didn't open up enough. I rode him tough, which whatever. Looking back, I probably should have cut him in the second.
Right.
But I was only 2-0, so a little bit of that cautious came in. I was like, and then I knew he wasn't going to be able to turn me or ride me on top.
Yeah.
Most people, to my credit, couldn't really ride me that much. So.
And that's what, like I said, you rode him. I mean, the whole second period and your first period there, you rode him pretty much. So, kind of, I'm not saying wrap it up, but wrap the match up. Dad, what did it play out the way you remembered it?
Yeah, exactly the way I remember it. The one thing is that I remember just telling, get nasty, get nasty. I don't know if he heard me.
Right.
But I wanted him to
open up.
Open up, yeah. Pretty much, I did. I mean, I just felt like he was not as tenacious as I thought he could. And I know he could be, and I just felt like he just didn't. I don't know. I had a different feeling for myself when I did it. I tried to maul you. I mean, I did. I'm not gonna lie about it. I mean, I was within the realms of the contest itself, fairness, but I tried to maul him.
And it needs to be said that we have pretty good evidence that you guys are the first father-son state champions in Kentucky. We feel pretty confident saying, no, we know there's others. We've done them on the channel.
Yeah.
We've done Chris and Reese Goss. Yep. We've done Dylan and Wes Gray from Caldwell County. We know the Irvins, Tim and Rob, all their boys, Brock and Matthias and Micah and all those guys. We know there are other
Vessels.
The Vessels, yeah, we forgot about those, Ben and his dad from Fern Creek. We know there are other father-son state champions, but we feel pretty confident saying that you guys are the first father-son. Now I gotta pose the question here. Let's say we can get in the time machine. I can, get in our DeLorean. I can go back. I can pick you up at 1966. I can pick you up from 1998 and have you guys wrestle.
Who do I think would win?
My money's gonna be on Pops. On him.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah, let's hear this.
He was a better technician. Yeah, he's a better technician than I was.
But for my money though, I mean, I would be like, I want the guy who's the meanest, the nastiest.
Then that would be me.
That'd
been me.
I got a scar.
My money's on
over
Pops.
Here somewhere from like my freshman or sophomore year of college. We had a takedown. We had a live go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, got his pound of flesh.
So
I got the takedown.
Oh well, but that's all that. Now you said you wrestled in college. Where'd you wrestle for?
Well, now it's University of the Cumberlands.
Oh, okay.
Back then it was
Cumberland College.
Right,
Cumberland
and
College.
then from Cumberland you went on to the Marines, right?
Yeah.
And are you kind of walk us through that real quick?
So after my second run at college, didn't do so hot. I cared more about wrestling, hanging out than grades.
Happens to the best of us.
Got out, was back to Seneca coaching, and found myself in a bad run, and was walking to work one day, and was like, the Marine Corps will pay me to walk places. So, on a whim, almost seriously on a whim, I don't have anything patriotic or like super cool backstory. I joined the Marine Corps.
Right.
The goal was to join the Marine Corps, do my enlistment, get my GI Bill, and then go back to college. Well, I tried out for the Marine Corps wrestling team 2 years, and my last year trying out, I tore my hamstring in 2 places, blocking a throw. And I was like, well, maybe I don't have it anymore. And I always said if I re-enlisted, I'd be a drill instructor. So I re-enlisted, went to be a drill instructor.
There's a story to that too. When he joined the Marines, he called me and told me, he said, Papa, I think you're going to probably be a little disappointed in me. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm not going back to school. I said, what do you mean, why not? He said, well, I joined the Marines. And I said, well, I said, you know what you're getting into? He said, yeah, I know. I said, well, I said, let me tell you this. I said, man, he said, I don't want you to be disappointed with me. And I said, I'm not disappointed. I said, man, that's a honorable direction you're going in. I said, just anybody can't be no Marine.
Right.
And he said, well, I can. I said, I have no doubt. So in his mind, he's thinking that I'm going to be a little miffed with him and angry with him. And I wasn't. I mean, I couldn't believe it, that the choice. I thought, if anything, he'd probably been the Navy, maybe the Army. But he said Marines, and I've known folks my age, my generation, who went in the Marine Corps. Big Rick, his would have been, could be considered stepfather.
Right.
And I know what was entailed to some degree.
Right.
And you always heard Marines are the hardest.
The leathernecks, jarheads,
yes, jarheads,
devil dogs,
the most dedicated of the armed services.
Semper Fi.
Yeah,
Always.
And he's proven that to me, that he's the epitome of what the Marine Corps stands for.
Yeah.
20 years deep.
20 years. What rank are you?
I'm a master sergeant.
Master Sergeant.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think most people, they're only the people that's never served. Their only, I guess, taste of the Marines is Full Metal Jacket. Gunnery Sergeant Hartman.
Yes, I agree with you there. I absolutely agree with you. What they see there, I looked at a video of him when he was in boot camp, when they went in this house where they throw them, what is it? Not pepper spray, but
Gas chamber.
Gas chamber, yeah. And I said, "Wow, you did do. I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
I don't think I could do that. And that says a lot about the heart.
right.
Between he and I, the only difference between he and I, in one sense, is our tenacity. I probably am a little more nasty than he would be and has been.
Right.
They wouldn't want me to be a drill sergeant.
Drill instructor.
Drill instructor.
Let's get the proper terminology here. We know that's a big thing between the branches.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me come to your home here in Louisville and do this. Thanks for being, I guess, willing to be a part of it.
Of course.
I want to say just this. For me to you, it's an honor.
Well, thank you.
That you would even consider. I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do.
For me to be included with him, I don't have the words for it.
Right.
But I want to tell you that I'm grateful.
Well, hey,
and I thank you more than I can put in words.
Well, I really, really appreciate that. I do. And, it's too bad that we started the series when we did. Looking back on it, I mean, who would have ever thought, to get this idea? But, tragically, your brother, Dwight, passed away a couple years ago.
Yes.
But it would have been cool to have, all of you guys together to do that.
Yeah.
And, have watch his. And,
well, he's looking down on us.
Oh, yeah. And, get his take.
Well, he used to tell me he's bad, he's a bad dude. I hope he does wrestle in the house. That's when he was a little kid, because he had two little stepsons that used to they were a little older than him, and
Mike and Nick.
Nicholas, and they used to try to bully him. No, Michael did. And one day, he just told him a new, you know what.
Right.
And after that, he said, "Boy, he's gonna be something." That's what my brother told me. And he panned out to be what he said. And
we'll say this and we'll wrap it up talking about that. We done a video with Tony Harris, 1973, Hoptown. Of course, Tony went on to coach Hopkinsville. He's at Christian County now. And I asked him what got him into wrestling. And he was like, I guess in the same vein, he was like, when you grow up as a small guy in the hood, you got to learn to fight, or learn to give up your lunch money.
He's right.
And I think he retired from the Marines as, I think, a staff sergeant. if I'm not mistaken. He done, I think, 25. It's on the video.
Shout out to Tony.
Yeah, shout out Tony. And Tony's one of our good friends, referee. But that's what leads a lot of kids to wrestling or karate or boxing, whatever is in your neighborhood or over somebody.
I agree.
Going down to the armory, the community center, whoever's teaching them whatever. Hey, I'm tired of seeing my kid get picked on. I'm tired of seeing this. So, and that's what, like I said, a lot of kids. Very rarely do you see somebody in wrestling get picked on.
Well, I have a lot of people ask me, why did you push him into wrestling? I didn't. I did not. I didn't think, he did. I never talked about it to him much at all, other than what his mother told him.
Right.
And so I was surprised his punch. I was pleased.
Right.
But I didn't want to tell him that.
And I think we can wrap it up by saying you can never let Dad get one over on you. Now, he's got one more state championship, but at least hey, you've got two, I've got one. At least I was there, right?
Two-time All-American.
Two-time All-American.
Real quick, I want to shout out Timmy Lawson, Chris, my Woodford family, all those guys out there was really decent to me. And Dave Moore. If you ever get Timmy Lawson or Dave Moore, he probably goes by Tim now, nobody goes by Timmy, but they wrestled for Henry Clay back in the day.
Yeah,
I think they were both two-timers. Dave, I think, was Wisconsin. I'll be back in Louisville 2025. This is when I'm trying to retire. So I'll be back trying to coach. And to you, I think it's phenomenal, awesome what you're doing, man. This is gold.
Thank you. I
really
appreciate that.
I do mean that.
Hey, no
I
problem,
really appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So just put in your comments just how bad Dean was. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I read the comments, so I'll reply.
Yeah, no, you wrestled very well. You knew what you were good at, and you wrestled like a senior with a point to prove. I mean, you really did. But for 1965, 1966, and 1998, that's all we got.
Yep. You're right.
Guys, we'll see you all on the mats.